We are so used to sharing problems that are usual as women, like acne on our faces, tummy issues, and hair loss, etc. But rarely talk about vagina problems. That's right, I said it, vagina problems. So, today's episode, we will be talking about vagina issues. So, this episode is all about vagina agenda. I have an amazing guest who will be taking us through the same. He's a gynecologist, a husband, a brother, and a friend. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
Briefly introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Joel Digger. I am a clinical officer specializing in obstetrics and gynecology. And about women health, that's what we do.
Okay.
Yes.
Karibu sana. Thank you for being here. So let's start here. I've realized when we go to see a gynecologist or a doctor and we have an issue, let's say maybe it's itching or burning, we really do avoid to use the exact word. So people use words like down there, there are others who call it cookie, wengine wanata wanaitanga orange. They can use any name that they want as long as they avoid it. So why is it that women are so embarrassed, to talk about these things and to refer to it as it is?
That is more about our culture, which teaches us that we should not mention body parts as they are. Some say it's a taboo. However, when it comes to the women health, the most important thing is to mention things as they are. However, as much as they try to hide, we provoke them to saying what it is.
Okay.
So that, because that is how we get to know where the problem is, so that we can be able to sort it out.
So they shouldn't be embarrassed. They should refer to it as it is.
Exactly. They should not be embarrassed. This is their health. Vagina is one of the pleasure organs that God created for us. And we should not be embarrassed about when we are talking about it.
Yeah.
It's a very nice organ.
Yeah, you should not be embarrassed. You refer to it as it is. It is a vagina, so that's how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
So, a vagina is an organ like any other organ in the body. It has got its own functions and uses, but it also has got its own issues. Now, as a gynecologist, you do have patients coming to you every week. Can you tell us, okay, I know vagina has got so many issues, but can you at least tell us some of the common issues that you get from your patients?
The most common ones are the vaginal discharges, which again varies from the color to consistency and all that. So the commonest one is a whitish discharge from the vagina, which again, most of my patients comes very worried about it, but it's not the way it is. It's not as bad as people think. Yes.
What's the normal color for vagina discharge?
It should be clear, just like water.
Clear.
Yes.
And not whitish or the one that looks like ikona two particles or whatever.
No, should not be having particles. Should be clear. Sometimes like mucus, and depending on the menstrual cycle. Because different stages have different consistencies, but the color mostly remains almost the same, clear. Yes.
All right. And if I may ask, how is a vagina discharge supposed to smell?
In the vagina, there are several glands that produces some fluid, which again will be different from one person to the other person. We are not the same. So the color will be, provided it is clear, the color may not matter much, but there are those people whose vaginas are very wet, others are a bit dry. So those that theirs are a bit wet, their odor may be more pronounced than those that are dry.
Okay. And is it normal? What do you mean by more pronounced?
Because the vaginal color, the vaginal odor is produced by what the amount of fluid that one produces. So if they have so much, which is again not necessarily a disease, just like there are people who sweat so much, others don't sweat. Those that sweat, their sweat will have some pronounced odor. But those that do not sweat much, then be a bit cool. So the odor we may not be able to define because there's nothing like that will smell like them. Yeah, so that's a bit variable.
Which is the other issue other than the vagina discharge?
Sometimes there could be pain during sex, some ulcers, we call them ulcers, but in layman's is about some wounds around that place. Sometimes some people come with some swelling, yes, and other people may come with no pleasure to sex.
Okay.
Yes.
And what are the causes of that?
They vary between infection, and some could be even genetic. But the most common things are the infections. I could give you that.
All right. Can we talk about yeast infection? Because it is also one of the most common vagina issue.
Yes, that is very common, especially during pregnancy. It appears like a whitish discharge, more like we say maziwa mala, or maybe yogurt, the one that is doesn't have the flavors. So it appears as whitish matted substances that comes from the vagina. Sometimes there will be itchiness, other times there will be no itchiness, and this is not necessarily a disease. It is commonly caused by an organism we call Candida albicans, which is ideally it's a normal flora found in the vagina. However, for it to pronounce itself that way, it means there's overmultiplication of what is there as a normal thing. And then it will cause some itchiness around the vulva, and then coming from the inside of the vagina. Treatment is easy.
Okay. So it doesn't necessarily, one doesn't necessarily have to get it from maybe your partner.
No, that is not a sexually transmitted infection. It's not.
All right. Can you get it after you've taken some medications?
Exactly. When you have another infection somewhere else and you use antibiotics, it means the antibiotics kills what is normal in the body. And therefore, this candida now overmultiplies, which gives you now the infection in its own. Yes.
All right. UTI.
UTI, it's a common occurrence, but it's not a vaginal issue. It's sometimes a bit tricky when handling these things, especially to people who do not know where the vagina ends, where it starts. Ideally, what is usually visible, it is the vulva. The vulva has got two openings, one on the upper side, which is again the urethra. Then the vagina is quite lower down. So UTI is not an infection of the vagina. That's another system in the body altogether.
So UTI is not an infection?
It is an infection, but not in the vagina.
Okay.
Yeah, it is in the urinary tract, where the urine comes from. That system starts from the kidneys, down to the bladder, down through urethra, then now to the urethral opening, which opens to the outside through around the vulva, but anteriorly.
Okay.
Yes.
And does it affect the vagina or the vulva?
No, it doesn't. The only effect that could be there when one has a UTI, they could be having pain during sex. Yes, but however, it's not a vaginal issue.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, this is an educative conversation going on right here on Golden Art TV. We will take a short break and be back for more. Welcome back. Now, before we went for a break, we were discussing and talking on vagina issues. So, Dr. Joel, can we talk about, we are different. We are created different. And there are those that have got different types of vulvas and labias. There are those that have low hanging labias. Should we feel bad about that?
No, we should not. That is a normal finding. That is God's creation. However long it is, however short it is still has its function. So that's a normal finding. We are created differently. Some of us are tall, others are short. That occurs in all body parts. So that's a body part that was created for us. So you should not be scared about the length or probably the size. They are all good. They serve the purpose.
And they shouldn't feel bad about it either.
Yeah, they shouldn't.
All right. Can we talk about some of the causes? What causes some of these infections?
The first one, as we discussed earlier, is the yeast infections. Others now, which are a bit common nowadays, are the sexually transmitted infections. Which will present with something arranged beginning from the ulcers. Then there are those others that comes with some projects, some pimples around that place, and some others will be very silent but with a lot of pain. Yes, individual ones, I think we can discuss each at a time, so that we are able to know at home when you find your discharge is this way, which is the commonest thing that you're having.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about it.
We start with the commonest sexually transmitted infection that people fear, which is gonorrhea. Gonorrhea usually it's a sexually transmitted infection that a woman or a man will acquire through sexual intercourse. Majorly, some people blame the toilets, but those things are silent. they don't give you those things. It is sexually transmitted. One will get it by having sexual intercourse with a person who has the infection, who also has gotten it from another partner. So when they have sex, that organism will get into the woman through the vagina. It will have an incubation period of between around a week. Then they will start having a discharge. This discharge could be around like pus-like, some cream, but will not be matted like the one we discussed for candida. So the next thing they will have after the discharge is they will have pain during sex and sexual intercourse, and then they may not bear that pain. So probably after a week, it has to be treated. Because if it remains untreated, it will have adverse effect on the productivity of the woman, because it ascends up into the uterus and into the tubes. This is the commonest cause of infertility, because the tubes, when those wounds occur in the tubes, they will block.
Okay.
Meaning that the ovum, the famous thing that we call the egg, will not be able to travel from the ovaries to the uterus for fertilization to take place. So this is a very serious infection that requires to be treated promptly.
Okay. So is gonorrhea treatable like kabisa completely?
Yes, it is treatable, although there are some strains that are a bit difficult to treat, majorly because they have grown some resistance to it.
Okay.
However, we still have, in the media we have seen some that are untreatable, but in practice, treatment is there.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What's the next the next infection?
The next infection that is a bit common is syphilis, which is now silent. This one will come up when one again has sexual intercourse with the person with syphilis. Syphilis is usually a very tricky disease. When one has it, they'll get an ulcer, or more so a wound around the genitals. It is usually painless, so some people may not even notice it. So it takes long to present itself in the body. Sometimes we even find it as an accidental finding, mostly during clinic visit when one gets pregnant. This can take to a maximum of even 20 years for it to present and manifest. And then once it manifests into its final stages, treatment becomes difficult. So what we say is, ideally these sexually transmitted infections come together. When you get one as gonorrhea and they come to us, we test for all the others.
Okay.
Yes, because they come in groups, they are partners. Yes.
All right. To check whether you have other infections.
Yes.
All right. So what do we do to stop all these?
It's about safe sex. We insist on ABCs in life. You abstain. If you can't, you use a condom. If you can't, you need to have a faithful partner with you so that you don't keep getting these infections. However, there are other infections that they are there, and some may not be even treatable at times. There is this commonest thing that has come up now, the cancer of the cervix, which is again, most of it is sexually transmitted. In this way, there is a virus that has been found to be causing the cancer of the cervix. It is called human papilloma virus. It is sexually transmitted, and this one a condom cannot prevent.
Okay.
Reason being, it can be in the testicles, whereby the condom doesn't cover the testicles. So any contact between the two partners will get the virus transmitted. Sometimes it comes in like pimples around that place. The ones that now they are a bit, they are not smooth. They are whitish and have hand surface, which is irregular.
Okay.
Yes, so that's human papilloma virus that causes those pimples, although it has got many subtypes, but they all come together. If you get one, we can't be assured that you will not get the other one. Yes.
All right. Whoa. This is so very educative. We should normalize having such kind of conversations because they do help a lot. We will take a short break and be back for more. Welcome back. Dr. Joel, is HIV an infection?
Yes, it is a sexually transmitted viral infection majorly, although there are other modes of transmission, but the commonest is sexual.
And it is so very common.
Very common. However, these days we do not experience much deaths as it was before. With the ARVs and people are able to take well, it's manageable.
Okay, but does that mean that people should go out there, be careless because they are ARVs?
No, ARVs do not treat the infection. They only prevent it from progression. And once one has it, there is no treatment, and they keep on medication. It's not a disease that we should take for granted. Now that there are medications to manage. The most important thing about it is prevention. And with prevention, that's the best way of managing the whole disease. It is very expensive again when one has it. Yes, ARVs are free, but there are those other things that are free because HIV affects people's immunity. So it means if you have it, chances of getting those other diseases are very high. So the most important thing is you prevent yourself from acquiring it. For those that already have it, they take their ARVs well so that what ARVs does, it means the amount of viruses in their body will be low, which means if they have sex with their partners, chances of infecting them are minimal.
Okay. What about, are they called PrEPs? Some are PrEPs, isn't it? The one they give to the partners.
Yes. Okay. They are both. One is the PrEP. PrEP, it is those you're given those ARVs when you think like tomorrow, like next week you will have a risk. You are given PrEP. This medication will come and cover your cells against getting the infections when you get exposed. Then there's PEP. PEP, it is called post-exposure prophylaxis. When you realize there is probably the commonest one they tell us is about they were having sex and then there was a burst condom, or sometimes they were drunk and then they end sex, which was unprotected, and they come to us. Within 72 hours, we give them PEP. This one will prevent them from acquiring the disease.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, but people should take care of themselves.
Yes, people should be responsible.
Okay.
Yes, whatever actions you do here, you need to be responsible. You are holding your life at your hand.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Dr. Joy, what do we do to prevent some of these infections?
We advocate on safe sex. That is when, if you know you're going to have sex so that you prevent yourself from these infections, we advocate on one partner. So if it's your partner and that is faithfulness, that one you don't need to be scared. However, if it's not your partner and you must, I'm stressing on the one if you must, because this one you can avoid, just use a condom. Yes. Then the other level prevention, it is vaccination for those that in the category of girls below 15 years and they have not had sex at any time. These days there is a vaccine against the human papillomavirus that is free in our government facilities. Those once one has been vaccinated against that, chances of getting the HPV are a bit minimal.
Okay.
Yes.
So they should go for those vaccination below 15 years.
Yes.
All right. What about hygiene?
Hygiene is very paramount, and then I think the way we take hygiene when it comes to the vagina is a bit different, and I want to put this straight. The hygiene that we talk about, it is, we don't do douching. We don't put anything inside the vagina.
Please repeat that.
We don't put anything inside the vagina. In terms of tampons and all that, you don't. You just wash the vulva. The vagina has got its way of washing itself. So we need to wash the vulva, the outside part. No inserting anything inside in form of soap, maybe our brushes. Don't.
Okay.
That one will bring about now those other infections that we talked about the yeast infections, which will be very common.
All right, on the same, how is one supposed to clean the vagina?
Just apply your soap in your hands, then wash the vulva only.
The outer part of it.
Yeah, the outer part, the one we call that the labia around that point. There is no insertion of anything.
What kind of a soap? The one that is scented or the one that is not scented?
Any soap is okay, but we need to be very careful when we are selecting our soaps. Those antibacterial soaps, we should not use them around the vagina. Yes, because they kill what is normal around that point, which is again a bit protective to the vagina and the surrounding areas. So we need to use the normal laundry soap.
Okay. And do you use your hands or a soft cloth?
You can use any, you can pick, provided you don't insert inside. Anything is okay, but do not over scratch that area.
Okay.
Yes, just wash as you wash other body parts.
All right. Okay. Which is the other way we can prevent these infections?
It is prompt treatment of infections for those that has the infection, because if the partner is treated, it means they will not be able to infect another person. Yes.
All right. So there's this issue here. There's this mentality that most people have that if I happen to have an infection, I've gotten it from someone. But you know, some of the infection, you don't necessarily have to get it from someone. Please clarify that.
Yeah, I have attended to women who comes to my office insisting that it is the boyfriend that has brought up the issue. And upon investigations and the lab test that we take, you realize that what they're having is not a sexually transmitted infection. So we should not throw tantrums just at the sight of a vaginal discharge. We need to be tested and be confirmed that if it is sexually transmitted, we will let you know. And we even ask you to tell your partner to come. They can even come as a patient, not even disclose who it is. They just need to come, we test them, we treat. That way, we end that infection at that point.
Okay.
Yes.
So they come first.
Yes, they come first.
And then they'll know from there whether it is an STI or it's just an infection.
Yes.
Okay, what about visiting a gynecologist? How often is one supposed to see a gynecologist?
In our setting, we do not get people visiting when they are not sick, which is ideally not the case. Even when you're not sick, you should go for your normal medical checkups. An infection like syphilis, it is silent. So you need to have regular checkups, at least once every 3 months. You need to be checked, be screened for any infection. And a talk with a gynecologist prevents a lot of things from happening.
Okay.
Especially when one is planning to get pregnant, they need to come. However, in our setting, some people do not even plan to get pregnant. They just come with a pregnancy. However, we need to change our culture.
Okay.
Health-seeking behavior. It's all important to us.
Very, very important.
Yes.
Okay, so Dr. Joel, what do you tell people that will be watching this episode, women and especially women?
Let us not be so private with our private parts. We need to talk about them. We need to prevent these infections. We need to treat those that are there. We need to get the health information that we need for us to enjoy this life. Yes.
All right, and those that are maybe they are not okay, they have a burning sensation or they are itching, they should not feel embarrassed to see a gynecologist.
Yes, they should not feel embarrassed. Let them come. We will undo them. And they will be okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Joel. It was so very educative. For those who will be watching this episode, especially women, there's nothing embarrassing about vaginas. It is an organ in our body, and if you ask me, I say they are amazing, so we should love them. You know, and take care of them like any other organ in our bodies. Help us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time we upload a video. Like, drop a comment, and share with as many people as you can. Thank you so much.